What happens when country music's biggest star collides with morning TV's toughest interviewer? And neither backs down. The clash shocked millions and ended with security called to Studio 1A. Blake Shelton walked into the Today Show expecting lighthearted chatter about his new album and tour. Instead, Savannah Guthrie was waiting in full investigative mode, armed with questions sharp enough to rattle a politician. From the moment cameras rolled, tension crackled through the studio like the air before a thunderstorm. "Blake Shelton, welcome back," Savannah began, her smile practiced but her eyes locked in like a hawk. "Let's start with your new single. It's climbing the charts, but 3 credited writers claim they were never properly paid. Care to explain?" Blake's trademark grin slipped, just for a moment, but Savannah caught it. He leaned back, trying to project his usual laid-back charm. "Well, Savannah, I think there's some confusion there. My team handles the business side and I trust them. If there's an issue, I'm sure it'll get sorted." Savannah pulled out a thick manila folder. "I have signed statements from all 3 writers saying they've been ignored for months. One, Sarah Martinez, is considering legal action. Were you aware?" The audience, expecting an easygoing chat, murmured in surprise. Blake's jaw tightened, his drawl gaining an edge. "Look, I came here to talk about my music, not get ambushed with legal mumbo-jumbo that doesn't belong on a morning show. People tune in for something positive, not gotcha journalism." Savannah didn't flinch. "I'm asking about fair treatment of the people who make your music. Isn't that worth your fans knowing?" "My fans know exactly who I am," Blake shot back, his voice rising. "They've supported me for over 20 years because I'm real. I don't twist everything into a scandal, unlike some people in this business." Savannah's smile thinned to a blade. "By some people, do you mean journalists who ask hard questions?" "Your job's to inform, not to destroy careers for ratings." Blake snapped, gripping his chair. "I know the difference between a real journalist and someone chasing headlines off my name." A producer signaled for Savannah to pivot, but she pressed forward. "Speaking of headlines, last month you criticized streaming platforms for hurting country music, yet your label is pushing more streaming deals. Isn't that hypocritical?" Blake's laugh was sharp. "Hypocritical. That's rich from a network that claims to support independent artists while paying them pennies to perform here. How much did NBC pay that indie singer last week?" "Savannah, enough for gas money home." For the first time, Savannah's composure cracked. "We're not here to discuss NBC's practices. We're here to discuss yours." "Oh, so when you do it, it's fine. But when I point out the same thing, it's off limits. That's the double standard I'm talking about. Media thinks it can say whatever it wants about us. But the second we push back, we're the bad guys," Blake shot back. Savannah's producer was now waving frantically from behind the cameras, but she didn't break eye contact. "I think there's a difference between holding public figures accountable and dodging legitimate questions with personal attacks," she said coolly. "Personal attacks." Blake's voice spiked as he pushed to his feet, his chair rolling back with a sharp scrape across the floor. "Lady, you've been coming after me personally since I sat down. You came loaded for bear with a folder full of accusations, and you want to lecture me about personal attacks." The studio froze. The only sounds were the low hum of equipment and the restless shuffling of the crew. Cameras instinctively tightened their zoom, catching every flicker of the standoff. Savannah stayed seated, knuckles whitening as she gripped her notes. "Blake, I think you should sit down so we can discuss this like adults," she said, her voice steady but edged with steel. "Adults don't ambush people on live TV with gotcha questions designed to make them look bad." Blake fired back, his tone bitter now. "Adults have honest conversations. What you're doing isn't journalism. It's a hit job, and I'm not sitting here to take it anymore." The words landed like a thunderclap. Savannah's eyes narrowed. When she spoke, Her voice was scalpel sharp. A hit job. Asking you about publicly documented disputes with songwriters is standard journalism. If you can't handle basic questions about your business practices, maybe you shouldn't be doing interviews at all. Blake stepped forward, looming over the desk. Basic questions. You call blindsiding me with legal documents and accusations basic. I've been in this business longer than you've been on television, sweetheart, and I know the difference between an interview and an interrogation. The condescending word hit like a slap. Savannah's professional mask cracked for the first time. Her voice dropped to a near whisper, every syllable edged with controlled fury. Did you just call me sweetheart on national television while trying to intimidate me? Because if you did, we've got a much bigger problem than songwriting credits. I'll call you whatever I want when you're treating me like a criminal. Blake growled, his Oklahoma drawl thickening. Don't sit there in your fancy studio, pretending you're some moral authority, when your own network has more scandals than a soap opera. How many of your colleagues have been fired for inappropriate behavior in the last 5 years, Savannah? The audience gasped. In the front row, phones came out despite the no recording policy, everyone sensing they were witnessing TV history. Savannah's co-hosts, who had been watching from the wings, began edging forward. My colleagues' mistakes have nothing to do with your business practices, Savannah replied, voice steady though her hands trembled slightly as she adjusted her papers. And using them to deflect from your own issues is exactly the kind of move I'd expect from someone who refuses to take responsibility. Blake gave a cold, humorless laugh. Responsibility. I've given millions to charity, mentored countless young artists, and brought country music to people who never would have heard it otherwise. What have you done besides tear people down for a living? I've exposed corruption, held the powerful accountable, and given a voice to people who didn't have one. Savannah fired back, finally standing to meet him eye to eye, including those 3 songwriters you apparently forgot to pay. But I guess helping regular people matters less to you than protecting your image, doesn't it? They'll get paid if they deserve it, Blake snarled. But I'm not taking lessons on the music business from a morning show host who's never written a song in her life. You wouldn't last 5 minutes in Nashville. And you can't last 5 minutes under basic scrutiny without losing it, Savannah countered. That's exactly the behavior they described. Aggressive, dismissive, unwilling to take any criticism. Blake's face was flushed now, fists tight at his sides. Meltdown. Lady, you haven't seen a meltdown yet. I came here as a favor because your producers begged for months. I could have been on any program in the country, but I picked the Today Show because I thought you people had class. Clearly, I was wrong. Class. Savannah's voice finally rose, her measured tone breaking. You're standing over me trying to intimidate me on live television, calling me names, attacking my network, and you want to lecture me about class. Sit down, Blake, before you embarrass yourself even more. I'm not sitting down for anybody, Blake growled. Especially not for some self-righteous reporter who ambushes me with accusations, then plays the victim when I push back. You picked this fight. Savannah, not me. The air in Studio 1A was thick enough to choke on. Cameras zoomed in tight, catching every twitch, every flicker of rage. The audience was frozen, some with hands clamped over their mouths, others leaning so far forward they were practically on the edge of the stage. Behind the scenes, Savannah's producer was making desperate cut to commercial gestures, but both combatants were locked in, too far gone to notice. This wasn't an interview anymore. It was a street fight in front of millions. I didn't pick anything. Savannah shot back, her jaw tight. I asked legitimate questions. Questions any competent publicist would have prepped you for. The fact that you can't handle basic accountability says everything I need to know about your character. My character. Blake's voice boomed. loud enough to rattle the rafters. You're questioning my character when you make your living tearing people down. You take private disputes and turn them into public circus acts for ratings. You pretend to care about these songwriters, but all you want is to weaponize them against me. I care about fairness and justice, Savannah snapped. Two things you clearly struggle with. And I won't take lectures on ethics from someone who can't even pay the people who make his music possible. They'll be taken care of, through proper legal channels. Not this carnival sideshow you're running, Blake roared. But that's not good TV, is it? Better to drag me through the mud live than let the system work. That same legal system you've been dodging for months. Savannah's voice was ice. The one you're suddenly hiding behind now that you're face with the consequences. Blake stepped closer, looming over her desk like a thundercloud. I'm not hiding. I'm right here, taking every cheap shot you've got while you sit safe behind that desk tossing accusations like grenades. If you think that's hiding, we have very different definitions. Security edged toward the set. They weren't sure if they were breaking up a fight or a piece of TV history. Savannah straightened, meeting his posture with steel of her own. You want to talk about shots? Let's talk about patterns. This isn't the first time you've had disputes with collaborators. Former band members, managers, touring musicians, they've all said the same thing. At what point do you look in the mirror and realize maybe the problem isn't everyone else? The question hit Blake like a sucker punch. His face darkened to a dangerous purple. When he spoke, his voice was a low growl barely caught by the microphones. You don't know a damn thing about my relationships. You're peddling gossip because it fits your narrative. Those people left for their own reasons. Savannah slid another paper from her folder. Funny. I have a sworn statement from your former drummer saying you refused him credit on songs he helped arrange. And another from your ex, manager claiming you broke multiple contracts. Should I read them aloud, or would you like to respond? Blake's palms slammed down on her desk. The force made her coffee mug leap, spilling across her notes. The crack of impact rang through the studio like a gunshot. Several audience members screamed. You are not reading anything else from that folder on my showtime, he barked. I don't care what lies they've fed you or what fiction you've cooked up with your producers. I'm done playing your games. Your showtime. Savannah's voice was deadly quiet now. This is the Today Show, not the Blake Shelton ego hour. And those aren't fiction. They're sworn affidavits backed by documentation. If you can't handle the truth about your business being exposed, maybe you shouldn't be in the public eye at all. Maybe you shouldn't be in journalism. Blake shot back, his voice echoing off the walls. If you think waving legal documents in someone's face is ethical reporting, what's next? You gonna pull out my divorce papers? My tax returns? Where does your truth crusade end and your thirst for ratings begin? Savannah's eyes flashed. Don't you dare question my integrity. I've won awards for exposing corruption and holding powerful people accountable. I've risked my career to tell stories others were too afraid to touch, Savannah said, her voice cutting clean through the chaos. I don't need to manufacture drama when people like you provide enough of it naturally. Blake's laugh was cold and sharp, like glass breaking. Awards, he sneered. You mean participation trophies from others called journalists who do the same hit piece reporting you do. Bravo, Savannah. You've impressed a room full of people who make their living tearing others down. I'm sure Mommy and Daddy are thrilled. The mention of her parents was a spark in a room full of gasoline. Savannah's composure, already stretched thin, snapped. How dare you bring my family into this? My parents taught me to stand up for what's right and never be bullied by people who think fame makes them untouchable. Something your parents apparently forgot to teach you. Blake stepped around her desk, closing the gap. The air between them went electric. My parents taught me to respect people who deserve respect, and to fight back against the ones who don't. Guess which category you're in, sweetheart." Savannah's body was rigid, her voice steady. "Back off, Blake. You're on camera making threats against a journalist for doing her job. Is this how you want America to remember you?" "I'm not making threats," Blake snarled. "I'm making promises. Promise number 1. I'm never coming back on this network again. Promise number 2. Every artist I know is going to hear exactly how you and your people ambush guests. And promise number 3. Those songwriters you claim to care about. They're going to find out you used them as pawns in your personal vendetta against me." Personal vendetta. Savannah's tone was disbelief wrapped in disdain. "I didn't even know you beyond your music until you walked in here and started acting like a spoiled child who can't handle criticism. This isn't personal for me, Blake. It's professional. You made it personal when you attacked me, my network, and my family instead of answering basic questions about your business practices." Blake moved in so close the cameras couldn't catch them both in the frame. Basic questions. That's cute. You came in with every piece of dirt you could dig up and expected me to smile and take it. Newsflash, princess. I don't work for NBC. I don't play by your rules. And here's a news flash for you, country boy. Savannah shot back. When you're a public figure making millions off fans who trust you, you don't get to hide behind your ego when someone asks for answers. Those songwriters deserve them, and so do your fans. My fans know who I am, Blake barked, his voice a whip crack. They trust me because I've earned that trust over 20 years. I don't need a talking head who's never created a damn thing telling me about my relationship with my audience. You don't speak for them. You don't get them. Security stepped onto the stage now, uncertain whether to break up a verbal firefight or brace for something physical. I understand them enough to know they deserve better than someone who can't treat his collaborators fairly. Savannah said, her voice carrying across the studio. And I understand journalism enough to know accountability isn't optional just because you're famous and used to getting your way. Blake turned to the camera, addressing America like it was a rally. You see this, folks. This is what passes for journalism now. Gotcha questions. Character assassination. Moral superiority from people who wouldn't last 5 minutes doing the jobs they tear others apart for. Don't address my audience. Savannah snapped. You want a press conference, book your own venue. This is my show, these are my viewers, and you've disrespected them and this platform since you sat down. The lead security guard moved forward, voice low but firm. Mr. Shelton, I'm going to need you to step back and lower your voice. Blake whirled on him. Are you kidding me? She's been attacking me for 15 minutes. And I'm the one you tell to back off. Why don't you tell her to stop her little character assassination campaign? Sir, I need you to calm down and step away from Ms. Guthrie. The guard repeated, hand on his radio. I am calm, Blake thundered, his tone making the lie obvious. And I'll move wherever I damn well please, until someone shows me a contract saying otherwise. This is a setup. And now you're bringing security into it like I'm some criminal. Savannah turned to the camera, her voice slipping back into professional mode. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, Chef Maria Rodriguez will. No, we're not taking a break, Blake cut in, also facing the camera. America needs to see this. They need to see how their so-called trusted morning show really operates. This is journalism in 2025. Character assassination dressed up as accountability. The director's frantic. Go to commercial? Hand signals were useless. Blake's voice was too big, too commanding, too furious. You want accountability, Savannah? Let's talk about your accountability to fair, balanced reporting. Oh wait, that doesn't fit your agenda, does it? Security closed in. The studio felt like it was vibrating from the sheer force of their clash. Millions of viewers sat in stunned silence, knowing they were watching the most explosive daytime TV confrontation in history, one that would rock both the music and media worlds for years.